Hey, good people, how you doing? Welcome to episode 18 of 254 Rugby. Michael Kwambo on this side, Walter Orangi on the other side. We're going to talk about the Kenya Cup, last round of matches before breaking for the festive season. There's also action in the championship, in the Nationwide League, the Women's Kenya Cup. Kenya Sevens are in action in Dubai. But Walter, first of all, let me start by asking how you doing and how did rugby on the road fare?
Thank you so much, Michael. I am fantastic, of course. Christmas festivities kicking off on this side of the town or this side of the world, but I can say that I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks of festivities. Speaking of rugby on the road, we had our final game of the year. We played away to Stingers. We're using the University of Nairobi business school pitch, and it was fantastic. Actually, one of the best pitches I've seen in a while. So we had a very good outing this weekend, and yeah.
Kamakawa, we always talk about our leagues, starting with the KRU Championship. The match day 4 results are there on your screen, and we can see Daystar winning away at JKUAT Cougars, Masinde Muliro winning away in Mombasa, Homeboys winning in Eldoret, Mean Machine losing to the Zetec Oaks at home, Western Bulls benefiting from a walkover against the Two Marines, USIU Marshals versus Catholic Monks. That game was postponed.
Yes, Michael, an interesting fixture weekend for the Championship League. Remember last week we were talking about home sides not being able to pick results. But this weekend, JKUAT Cougars were playing at home. Daystar, that battle of the varsities, clearly you can see that Daystar are looking very good going into the new year. We have Mombasa who are playing host to Masinde Muliro. Once again, you can see there that scoreline, a 7:34 full-time scoreline means Masinde Muliro are really good and they're looking very strong as we head to the close of the year. We also have the UOE Trojans who are playing at home, hosting Homeboys RFC. Homeboys, former Kenya Cup side, just looking to make sure that they bounce back immediately, having gone down to the Championship League. A convincing 40-point on the scoreboard against the UOE Trojans away from Nairobi. Now, the Mean Machine were playing the Zetec Oaks. I had an opportunity to watch this one, and I can say that for a fact that the Zetec Oaks had a better first half and had a very good. The Machine side had a good second half, and hence to the fact that the scoreline clearly states that 10-15 was a full-time whistle. I mean, a losing bonus point in the bag there for Mean Machine. Close encounter for Zetec, and definitely looking forward to the next couple of fixtures for the two sides. Western Bulls were playing at home to Two Marines. Two Marines, remember, being an institution, it's end year. I guess the conversation around or behind the scenes would be Western Bulls calling Two Marines and asking, do you guys feel like we should postpone this? And Western Bulls saying, no, we can't because we have so much to do next year. It's a home fixture, so the best thing we can do really is to get a walkover. So a 28-point in the bag for Two Marines. Nonetheless, Two Marines will be looking forward to the new year to just stabilize themselves. And now the final one was the USIU Marshals and Catholic Monks, varsity institutions once again falling prey to that last minute, not really last minute, last end of the year festivities as the varsities close down, and that means the schools are not able to actually continue with normal duties. So it means Marshals and the choir monks were definitely going to either postpone or agree for one or the host team to get the points. Now the table stands at Masinde Muliro, who are top. Daystar Falcons coming in second, Homeboys coming in third, Catholic Monks coming in fourth. Clearly, you can see, Michael, from that order of the top four, the experienced sides, Masinde Muliro, former Kenya Cup side, Homeboys RFC, and the Catholic Monks, clearly early days, but showing the intention that they clearly want to go back to the Kenya Cup League. Daystar Falcons hanging in with the top boys, with the big boys up top, definitely also having played the playoffs last year, definitely looking forward to this year's fixtures once again, and they were very well coached and quite resourced as a team. So no, no fluke for them being up top. Then we have the bottom sides. Let's look at two Marines, UAE Trojans, the USIU Marshals, and the Main Machine. Now, that bottom four, Michael, is a clear indication that the varsity sides, two Marines, UAE Trojans, the USIU Marshals, and the Main Machine. The battle is really on who is staying up and who's going down. Remember, Machine were narrowly. They could have dropped down last season. I don't want to talk about the head-to-heads, the tries versus who scored more competition that ensued post-season. So yeah, the Main Machine side currently sitting in at number 8. Mombasa slightly above Main Machine, Jacob Cougars, the Western Bulls, and of course the Zetec Oaks. Now the surprise package in that mid-table battle is the Western Bulls. I know that win over two Marines propels them into the mid-table standings, but I don't know if they'll be able to honor most of their away games for next year. They are a team if they play.
I think they will. I dare say that, because if you look at it, the farthest distances they were going to were to Mombasa, and the two teams from Mombasa are Mombasa RFC and two Marines. As it so happens, they gave away the walkover against Mombasa a few weeks ago, and they benefited from the walkover against two Marines. I think all these other games, they will make it, because the farthest they will come to is Nairobi, which is Athi River, actually. I don't know how the fixtures look like, but coupling that with their home games, I do believe that they'll be able to rally the support and the resources to honor those games. And I also would like to call it that I see the championship top 6 comprising of the teams as they are. I don't see any further changes. JQ Cougars will knock at the door, but I do feel that the top 6 is going to be as it is. I just can't tell the composition of the top 6, but I feel it has already separated itself from the bottom 6.
Yeah, like you just pointed out. It's a battle of who wants it more, and the league standings are clearly gravitating towards the teams that are looking serious and are looking to, contest for that those 2 slots to make it to Kenya Cup. So yeah, the top 6, as you've said, I don't think there's much that is going to change there. We just hope the Western Bull side can be able to honor fixtures, and hopefully that can be squared out for Western Bulls moving into the new year. Now, Michael, just once again, we've not had this conversation. We've talked about Kenya Cup, who wins it, who comes in second.
Yeah, and
We've not talked about
the results. I know we haven't talked about it yet, but just the results of the Kenya Cup on the screen, but maybe we can still continue the conversation.
Yeah. So in terms of championship, who do you have your money on in terms of winning championship?
Masinde Muliro.
Who comes in second?
Homeboys.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. But I have most up top. My second team is Daystar Falcons. My third team, is Homeboys, and my fourth team is Catholic Monks. Or it could have most up top, Queer number 2, number 3, Homeboys, number 4, Daystar Falcons. So that is my order of play. Anyway, we'll catch up on that aspect of the league locally.
Just before you catch up on that, I was going to say, and I'll say this without any fear of contradiction, Daystar Falcons seem to be allergic to the championship final, and that's why I confidently call Most and Homeboys. That's why I confidently call them. The Catholic Monks could be the dark horses there, and they could be driven to return to the Kenya Cup. Daystar Falcons, I do expect them to reach the semis and to wrap it up there.
Yeah, yeah. The dark horse of this tournament has to be Catholic monks because you don't really know what to expect from them, but you know for a fact that they'll bring the fight. However, in terms of the 15s, I am not so sure about them this season. But anyway, they're immediately coming down from Kenya Cup, so they still have that fire burning within them. So let's watch out for Catholic monks and homeboys, as you've rightfully said. Now let's move to Kenya Cup, Michael. An interesting match week, match day number 3. Kenya Harlequins 23-28, a very narrow result there. We remember we called this one, and I had given it to Kenya Harlequins to win this one. However, I definitely called it for Kenyatta University to get losing bonus point, and it could have gone anyway, Michael, between the two sides.
Could have gone either way, and I did see a few clips circulating on social media. The Quins coaching staff not happy with decisions that were made by the match officials, and probably one of these days we will look for a match official to just talk to them
Yeah.
about their side of the game as well. But like you said, it was a close game. We were in agreement that it was going to be a close result between the two, and you can see the result on the screen: 28-23.
Yeah, Black Blood brought the fight to Kenya Harlequins. Kenya Harlequins were looking at this as one of those games that they would definitely win, but yeah, a nerve-wracking end there. And speaking of match officials, we need to hear their side of the story. You can't hear just one side of the story most of the time. It's important, and yeah, rightfully so. We should have someone like Alfred Okwemba to come here one of these fine days and explain himself as the president. I, I know it.
Explain sounds a bit too harsh. We sound like school principals. I
No,
think
no, no.
just to maybe just to talk, just to talk about the
Yeah.
state of match officiating and get us to understand as well, because you also realize that in the same way that we question coaching decisions and we're not coaches, we also question match officials calls and we're not match officials. And I do believe in giving everyone their chance to talk and also gaining their insights, because that way you're able to have a clearer understanding of where a decision was made, whether in terms of selecting a player if you're a coach, or making a certain call if you're a match official.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking forward to that day. Now, the second game, Nondes taking on Nakuru. Nakuru, I mean, I'm not so sure, Michael. I think this is a bonus point victory for Nondes. They most probably must have scored 4 tries. Nakuru not getting anything out of this one. Of course, it was always going to be a tough one coming from Nakuru to come and play Nondes, and unexpected result there, 24-8 in favor of Nondes.
Yeah, again, we called this result. We said Nondis will have a bit too much for Nakuru. I didn't expect the bonus point though, but we will need to confirm with the standings and with the official match sheets. But it was a win for Nondis, a good win for them. And you just like what Nondis are doing. Remember, last year they got to the semi-final of the league competition. They're looking good to make it there again. They're winning whatever games they have to win and putting up a fight. They are showing up every weekend for their fixtures. For Nakuru, like I said, and I'm confident, they will not go down. They have games that they will claim the scalps of teams and be able to finish above the positions 11 and 12, and therefore securing their status for another year. However, of concern is the fact that they've struggled in terms of resources, both in terms of playing personnel and resources to actually honor their fixtures. And I have to admire the Nakuru community, who chip in time and again to ensure that this team is always honoring their fixtures. There never is a day that you've heard Nakuru have given up or walk over. They stick to the spirit of the game. They continue giving us wonderful talent through the years. And I think for that we just tip their hands off, even though it is a difficult season for them. We tip our hats off for them, even though it is a difficult season.
Yeah, difficult season indeed. 3 losses on the bounce. And the battle, I mean, they would have known where they are, where their strengths are, where they definitely need to put in a lot more effort in terms of getting victories. Like you've said, yes, they do have those specific games that they've earmarked for a challenge, either to go for victory, bonus point victories, and all that. So it's important for them to keep going. And quite rightfully said, nobody knows what happens behind the scenes, but they keep on coming in week in, week out, and strong stuff there from the Wanyore and family. So anyway, we wish them all the best as they proceed with the next part of the season. Now, the other game, Michael, the biggest result in the house this weekend, and this one, I saw at halftime it was 100 points. I don't know what happened the next 40 minutes, but the damage had been caused in the first half. Kabras Sugar 137, Kisumu 7. Michael, what are your sentiments on this game?
It's an embarrassing result for Kisumu. It's an embarrassing result for Kisumu, for the Kenya Cup as well. We do expect serious competition. We do expect wacha niwachie hapo bana.
I know it affects you because you have you have Kisumu very close to your heart because it's very close to home, and Kabras is also in between there. So yeah, I mean, there's quite a history for Kisumu, and looking at this result, damage control, Michael, would have been the best situation in this case. But anyway, the result is through, and I think Kabras are making up for the fact that they did not finish that Impala game. And also, they did not score enough points away to South Coast Pirates. Do you think that that could have been the motivation for them pummeling their neighbors that much?
I think not. I think more this is a crosstown rivalry. Kisumu and Kabras. Basically, it's Kakamega versus Kisumu. And it's like I said, it's a crosstown rivalry, and Kisumu just didn't show up on the day. Kabras finally with the perfect opportunity to play in front of their home fans and seizing that opportunity to the fullest. I mean, this just shows you how ruthlessly efficient they were on the day. For Kisumu, their 7 points coming through, obviously catching Kabras napping at some point, shows you that they did enter the visitors 22. But there needs to be a lot more fight from Kisumu. We saw them survive relegation last year by the skin of their teeth. They need to put this result behind them very quickly and focus on the rest of the season if they are to maintain their Kenya Cup status for yet another year.
Yeah, Kisumu really have a fight on their hands. It's important for them to, I mean, the scoreline, Michael, it flatters, it really tells the tale of what this Kenya Cup League is all about, this disparity between the top sides and the bottom sides. It's not fair at some point for us to have such games at this point in time. But, at the end of the day, Michael, we all agree that the best team on the day went home with the 5 points. Just that the scoreline was just something that I don't agree with. But anyway, it's fine. We move on. KCB Rugby playing at home, hosting Strathmore Leos. This fixture has become a fixture that recognizes a former player or former players who played between KCB and Strathmore, and they're now calling it the Jerry or Lola Cup. Quite a result there, bonus point for KCB. I'm pretty sure when they look on the other side of the scoreline for other Kenya Cup results, they'll be like, guys, I think we left a lot more points on the day. Comparing themselves to Kabras. But I feel like Strathmore really came up this weekend. They came up against a strong KCB side, and credit to them. They really held the scoreline very well.
Yeah, although I differ with you on the fact that KCB will rule the fact that they scored lesser points than their opponents, because I think the league phase of the Kenya Cup, it really is a marathon, and for them, I know that their key objective is to claim a top 2 finish and with that secure a home semi-final. And they are still not they're not in danger of losing that. Then also, if you look at the Strathmore Leos' last result against Menengai Oilers, I believe it was the previous week, they lost by a similar scoreline, 38 points to 8. So no cause really for alarm from KCB and from their head coach Oliver Mangeni. I think it's just to take the results, and I am sure that they relished this challenge because you also want, and this is no offense to the other teams in the league, but you want stronger opposition as the league fares on, so that you can gauge your strengths, you can gauge your weaknesses, and know how to adjust accordingly. And I do believe that the clash against the Strathmore Leos was the first of these challenging fixtures to come for KCB, and also for Kabras going forward. They will have some tricky fixtures in store. Remember, they have to play Nondis, Quins, who else can Black Blood as well. And much as you tout Kabras to win those games, it is the quality of the opposition that they will be meeting. And I'm sure we're going to talk about the quality of the Kenya Cup once we're done with this part of the show.
Yes, speaking of quality, it was a quality day for the Menengai Oilers hosting Mwamba RFC.
And you called this one, Walter. You
94.
called this one. You actually called it. I was skeptical, and I'll tell you for sentimental reasons. Mark Mishila is my good friend. He's my teammate. I've played with him on several levels. I cannot fathom such a scoreline, and I'll say that here. So I was conservative and said it would have been closer to half a century. You called it that it could be even more. Yeah, so I'll let you continue talking.
Yes, Michael, and pass my greetings to Mshila. Mshila is a good man. Now, 94-9 in favor of the Menengai Oilers, Michael. I had a feeling going into this game because the Menengai Oilers team is a team that looks like it's about processes, it's about systems, it's about working on progression, looking at where we are in terms of our set piece, developing further, trying to close that difference between themselves, KCB and Kabras. So the job really is cut out very well for the Menengai Oilers side, and I really feared for Mwamba because Michael, I am telling this, and I am telling it to you because I believe that you've watched the league for a very long time. This is one of the weakest Mwamba sides that Mwamba has ever produced, and the fear comes from the fact that the previous week Menengai Oilers had put in over 50 points against. I think they were playing Kisumu or something, though, and they put in a lot of points on the scoreboard, and I feared for Mwamba simply because for you to go to the refinery and win, you have to really go and match them in terms of your forwards, and then definitely look forward to playing with the backs. But if you can't match them in the forwards, you can't match them in the back line, it's going to be a long day in the office for you. And credit to the Menengai Oilers, they've put in a very good scoreline, consecutive weeks. They're looking very strong, and I keep on saying that this year's Kenya Cup League is going to be decided on squad depth, and they do have quite a squad. You look at their first team, you look at their second team. The two sides can comfortably play in the Kenya Cup league, both that is ESS and Kenya Cup, and they're definitely going to put up a challenge. So a good result on the day for the Menengai Oilers. Now the final result, Michael.
Yes, the final
Uh,
result. It went my way.
After
Went my way. See, you are saying, oh, pirates, pirates, nini, nini, nini. Me, I stuck with Impala. And I
they
had my
could
reasons. And I've
they couldn't even
indicated,
get a losing bonus.
despite a late rally, is it that it took them 60 minutes to say, aya, majama, aya, tusukume boli, basi?
Mababu nao walipitia. It was a good game, Michael. A game of two halves. Impala playing in front of their fans. A return of Kenya Cup to the Impala club. I mean, a befitting way for them to finish a good day. Remember, they had a festival of rugby that day. They had a 10 a.m. game. They had a 12 p.m. game. They had a 3 p.m. I think they had a 2 p.m. game. They also had a three. No, they had a 10 p.m. game. They had a 12 p.m. game. They had a 2 p.m. game. So, I mean, 3 games played over some good rugby, some good vibes, and Impala came through. South Coast, Michael, just give them credit. Traveling all the way to Nairobi, they left with some decent points.
Yes, they did. And as always, I must always praise South Coast Pirates. just for changing the face of the game. The fact that we have a team from the South Coast in the top tier league means a lot. It's historic. It shows you how far this game can spread, the potential that it has. I've been down there, and it's been embraced by the community, and the Pirates is also doing a lot in terms of changing the lives of the players down there. It's much more than rugby. It's a way of life. Just putting them on the straight and narrow in terms of life and all that stuff. Those are the stories that we don't get to hear. And as always, kudos for them. They came and fought, and that is the spirit of the Kenya Cup. And it is encouraging because their first two fixtures were really heavy results against them. And the fact that they can show up week in, week out, and still take to the pitch is commendable. And they can only get better with time. And speaking with Kevin Amiani a few weeks ago, he said they've earmarked a few games that they believe they can get victories from. And he said there's no pressure on the boys. It's about taking each game as it comes. And I believe that's what they're doing. So kudos to the Pirates for the spirit of rugby. Kudos to Impala as well. A big game it was for them at the pavilion. And that they got the result means that their key goal, remember, this year is to survive the Kenya Cup. And I dare say they probably need two more victories. And those two more victories over the course of time are attainable. And the result against the South Coast Pirates was a big step in Impala determining their future in the Kenya Cup for the next season.
Yeah, a very big game for both sides, and a result. And pointing out, having gone through being promoted into Kenya Cup, I can tell you for a fact that South Coast Pirates are punching above their weight. Remember, the first opening fixture was KCB. The second one was Kabras Sugar. Third game now, they've come all the way to Nairobi to come and play the Impala side, and they don't look like they are spent. They don't look like they've come from bruising battles between KCB and Kabras. They might have lost a few players here and there to probably injury, because the levels that the two sides play, the top sides in the country play, are different as compared to the upcoming teams. And it's credit to Kevin and company for all that they've been doing. And it's also important that the story is told, the legacy story of what is happening with Kenya Cup having been played in South Coast for the very first time. And yeah, and those are the stories. Those are the success stories that many a times we overlook, and it's important for us to give credit where it's due. And yep, that's it. So now the Kenya Cup standings, Michael. I mean, if in a parallel universe, I would have probably said Impala number one, Kisumu number two, but stark reality, Kabras Sugar, KCB 1 and 2, Michael.
I have a story to tell you from the year 2001. KCB finished last that particular season, but there was no relegation. They survived. But from 2002 to date, they've been a top four side. Like you said, in a parallel universe. In that same year, Impala was in the middle of a three. No, they were winning the. Wait a minute. Yeah, they were winning the second of a three-peat. Remember, they had gone 26 years without winning the Kenya Cup. So things do change. As it so stands, whoever thought that Kabras Sugar would be in existence? Whoever thought the Menengai Oilers would be in existence? Whoever thought we'd see the revival of the Strathmore Leos? The Strathmore University used to have a team which later became defunct, but was revived, and we can see it grow into the Strathmore Leos and competitive in the Kenya Cup. But having said that, the standings are there as they are. We can see Kabras leading, and it took Kabras just one game and a 130 point deficit over the opponent to put them on top of the league standings. Yeah, because the
it took them a battle.
Yeah, it took them just one game. You defeat your opponent by 130 points and you're top of the league. KCB second, as you can see. Oilers third, Quins fourth, Nondi's fifth, Blad sixth. Those are the teams in the playoff slots. Impala currently seventh, Strathmore Leos eighth, Nakuru ninth, Mwamba in 10th, Pirates in 11th and Kisumu at the bottom of the log.
Yeah. So, Michael, just looking at this league, there are two battles really. There is that battle up top, then there's the battle down below, and now let's talk about the relegation battle. That is the four teams without a point on the scoreboard. That is, we have Nakuru, we have Mwamba, we have South Coast, and we have Kisumu. Now, I mean, it's the usual suspects, Michael. You'd expect Kisumu and South Coast to be holding those bottom positions just simply because they're new kids on the block. However, I'm not so sure about Mwamba and Nakuru. We talked about Nakuru in the Kenya Cup results. Post-match analysis, and we talked about the fact that they have a few games that they believe that they can win. Now, looking at Mwamba, um, Mwamba has also earmarked a few games that they believe they can win. I'm not so sure about South Coast and Kisumu, but remember, Kisumu fought valiantly last season and retained their position in Kenya Cup. What's your take on that bottom four?
Well, my bottom four, I do see the Pirates will not survive. Let me be brutally honest. Kisumu, unless they get their house in order, will be going down with them. Because between Mwamba, Nakuru, Impala, and the Strathmore Leos, they have what it takes just to dig deep for those results, earmark those. And remember, these teams are yet to play against each other. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. I look at, for me, my potential relegation candidates this season are South Coast Pirates and Kisumu RFC. Kisumu really need to turn the ship around because remember they shipped in big points against KCB. They've shipped in big points against the Oilers and against Kabras. They will say that they are done with their difficult fixtures, but you know that is always a crazy gamble to take. It could work for you, it could work against you. Yeah, so that's it. Nakuru, like I said, I have faith in Nakuru surviving just because they have that touch of experience, and players like Philip Kwame are never too far away from being called in to just come and give their 60 or 70 minutes for 3 or 4 games and literally just get them out of trouble. And I honestly do see that happening again for Nakuru. Although long term they will need to strengthen their resources in terms of their ability to attract quality players, to retain quality players, because they churn out a lot of quality talent over the years. So that is my outlook on the bottom four.
Well, speaking of Nakuru and knowing how to beat the system, you've said they call in Kwame for a few games, and that story is done. Sometimes it works. It has been working. Like you said, long term they have to find a solution. I don't think it's sustainable for them. Each year, calling out the likes of Philip Kwame to come in and save the ship, but um, Michael, sometimes it becomes hard for you to survive. There are times when all sinking ships are sinking. Literally, everything is going down your way. But yeah, like you've said, South Coast and Kisumu, really, their house has to be in order. The likes of Impala, Strathmore, Mwamba,
Hey,
and
just
Nakuru.
for the record, I have so much love for Kisumu. I have so much love for Kisumu. That's why it's even more painful for me to speak about that. I can be brutally honest with them because, like
Yeah,
you mentioned earlier, it's a team that is really close to my heart. It's a city that is literally 20 kilometers from home. So when I'm telling them to
yeah,
get their house in order, yeah,
yeah,
they really need to get their house in order. It's not to say that it's just, determine that this is the direction that we want to go. There has to be that drive from the playing
yeah.
unit and from the coaching unit to get the results that they require to cross over the line. And that line is the relegation line, to just cross over the line like they did last season.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, it's a tough one. The league is very unforgiving. Up top, there's that mid-table of battle: Kenya Harlequins, Nondis, Kenyatta University, Black Blood. Now, those three sides, Quins has already played Black Blood, so that means, and they've won a direct competitor for that top six position. That means Quins is safe up top. Now, Nondis versus Black Blood and Nondis versus Kenya Harlequins. Those two fixtures are really going to be critical this season.
Nondis will beat Black Blood.
That's a
Yes.
big statement, Michael. That's a very big
Yes, and
statement.
that's why I've said it, and I've followed it up with Atwoli's yes. That is a exclamation mark, not a full stop. They will beat Black Blood because technically, there's just one or two areas where Nondis will be a bit too refined for Black Blood, and having walked a slippery slope last season, Nondis now know the path that they are treading on. Black Blood will hang around there. They will take the game to Nondis when that game happens. But I think Nondis will be good for that.
Now, that top two position, Michael, the battle between Kabras Sugar, KCB, and the Menengai Oilers, Michael, that is a very important battle. Remember that home semi-final? It has always panned out that KCB finishes second most of the time. They host the Menengai Oilers in that semi-final match, that one match for you to make it to the final. And seems like that is going to be the story once again.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be the story once again because remember, the top position has always been determined by KCB facing Kabras. And they meet again, I think, on the last day of the regular season, and it will be in Kakamega. We know that Kabras have recently turned the tables on KCB, so Oliver Mangeni must be plotting on how to return the normalcy, return the order that used to be there prior to Kabras finally getting over their KCB hoodoo. The Menengai Oilers, like you said, they are looking ominous, but with games, tricky fixtures for me, there's that slippery slope against Quins. If they can navigate that, if they can navigate KCB, they will be in the top two. But again, we could still see a reverse scenario where Oilers finish second and KCB third. So it still doesn't change anything. So there needs to be a lot more competition. And, having said that, it just probably brings us to what we had been chatting about before the show began, like the composition of the Kenya Cup. 12 teams, noble idea. But in terms of quality, if you ask me, we are struggling in terms of quality. You can see the gulf in class. Quins, I like that. Quins, of all the community clubs, Quins and Nondis remain the most organized. The fact that they are able to have their structures attract their sponsorships matters a lot. And I do think that the other clubs can learn from them in terms of crowdsourcing for this sort of support. Nakuru did it nearly a decade ago before the Menengai Oilers, the Menengai Oil Refinery came in to sponsor them. Remember, in their rise to the top, they were very organized. They had attracted the business community across Nakuru to actually chip in various ways. And this organization is what attracted the Menengai Oil Refinery to sponsor them. And I do feel that if we get this going for these other clubs, I do believe that we can get it going. The South Coast Pirates had something going for them, but unfortunately their key sponsor, Base Titanium, is closing operations in Kenya because of harsh business conditions, and that has been a blow to them. But for all these other teams, Kisumu, they can also, work towards that. I know Impala probably are looking towards reclaiming that lost glory. They were also another shining light in terms of sourcing resources. Remember the time when they had the sponsorship from Resolution Health and other allied partners. So I think it's just about you styling up. But away from that, I do feel that this is a radical idea, but hey, this is our show, so us we can talk the way we want. How about having a Kenya Cup 1 and a Kenya Cup 2? That means reducing the numbers. And for me, the Kenya Cup 2 now becomes like your second tier. So we have the KRU Championship. It's a national league. It's now a third tier. Then we have the Kenya Cup 2 and the Kenya Cup 1. Because my thinking also is this. You play nationwide, then you go to championship, and then you're in Kenya Cup. I think also away from just qualifying for the top levels, you need to get used to playing in a national competition, because unless you've got deep pockets, it becomes extremely difficult for you to come from playing within your region, where you just play today in Kakamega, tomorrow in Bungoma, and then the next season you've qualified for the championship where you're playing nationally. and then you're in the Kenya Cup. I mean, let's have that progression, and we make it quality. So I mean, you could have, for example, the bottom four teams from the Kenya Cup and the top four teams from the KRU Championship forming Kenya Cup 2, and then the rest of the teams in the championship remaining as it is an 8-team league. And then now everybody else qualifies. Yeah, those are just ideas that we are bouncing off. And for the Kenya Cup
Yeah.
as well, the tighter it is, the better competition. Because you see, we're all leading up into these things. And remember, the reintroduction of the Rugby Super Series, I think would play well into this, because you're trimming down the what do you call it, the competition, and you're leading up to that competition at the top of the pyramid, which is the Rugby
Cream de la
Super
creme,
Series. Yeah.
yeah.
So, like I said, this is just off the top of my head. That's why it may not sound as articulate, as elaborate, but I'm sure these are the kind of things that we need to look at.
Yeah, it's good you brought it up. My sentiments have always been that, Michael, the better league we have in terms of our topmost league, the best outcome will always be that the leagues below will thrive. Um, it's radical trying to reduce the teams up top, but however, if it means that that is going to increase our chances of qualifying for the next World Cup, Michael, I think it's something we need to do, because the more we increase the competition up top, the better players we produce, because now the games are tactically looked at. The improvement is across board in terms of, for you to achieve the status of being a Kenya Cup side, you do understand. We will then get away with playing games that provide cricket scores like the ones we are currently watching. It becomes really tough and harder for anyone to get into the top league. So once it becomes harder, then it means the levels improve. And you've talked about the Super Series. The Super Series is a culmination of what should be the best of the best in our local league. And right now, you can't tell me that you're going to, much as you're going to have very good players in Kisumu, or you're going to have very good players in South Coast, or you're going to have very good players at Impala or Mwamba. There's no way you're choosing those players to play in the topmost league for you to produce players to go into the national team. So it's really a problem for the selectors. And back of our minds, we do know that the improvement at Kenya Cup has to be there. We have to play more. We're talking about competitive rugby. We're even talking about not playing Uganda. But what does that mean? We're not playing Uganda because of quality. We're looking at quality. So we have to be we have to be better on our own just before we talk about somebody else from the outside. So it's important for us to develop Kenya Cup in a direction where you have the best, Michael. You need TV to collect the best. You don't need TV to collect
And you
147
know,
points against.
and I like that you say you need TV, because I'll give you my experience as a TV commentator and commentating on some games a few years back in the expanded Kenya Cup. And honestly, it was painful to commentate, not even to watch, but to commentate, because literally, yes, you somehow worked your way in there, but you didn't improve on your quality. So it ends up being a match that is full of broken play, and much as you try to be professional and not talk about it, it was painful, it was difficult to commentate. You see, the quality of commentary also comes from the quality of play that you're witnessing on the pitch, and I am sure that you will agree with me on that. So
Yes.
if we can work on improving the quality, and I always say this, today I'll say it in English because I've said it too many times in Swahili. Let's have quality rugby over quantity rugby. Yeah. And it is just what you have to do. It sometimes you have to destroy in order to rebuild.
Yeah.
We expanded the league. I think it was well intentioned, but it would have been better if we continued churning out quality from across the board. Right?
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
now, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. I
Yeah.
recall a few years ago, a team from Western Kenya, not Kisii, qualified for the Kenya Cup, and they shipped in Century in, I think, a Century in probably 5 or 6 of their games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The Kenya Sharks playing out of
Yes,
Bungoma.
Bungoma
Yeah.
Sharks, Bungoma.
Yeah, so no offense to them. Again, it was a good achievement, first team from Bungoma to qualify for the Kenya Cup. But is it sustainable? Because you also want your qualification to be sustainable, right?
Yeah, your sentiments are right, Michael. You having so many numbers which don't make sense sometimes is a recipe for failure, because you have so much mediocrity. You need to pick a few from that cluster of so much. You can't then narrow down on exactly. Speaking of even how national team coaches can be able to communicate to clubs, because you cannot be able to standardize your play across these 12 leagues, these 12 teams in Kenya Cup, simply because every club has their own different problems. Now, if you go to Kisumu, they maybe players are not turning up for training. They don't have training allowances. They honoring fixtures is a problem, and all that. What time do they have to now conform to national team orders? Like now, for example, how, let's say, Jerome Powata would want his teams to play. What time does the coach have to really impart or whatever communication is coming down from the national team? So it's really hard, even to keep that level of performance up top for such a team, because you're demanding so much from your players, but you're offering so little. So at the end of the day, the demand versus supply, that does not really make sense. So I agree with you. We need to relook at that, and hopefully, I'm going to be a champion of a lot of change in terms of our leagues, because I
You
feel
know,
like it's
I've
yeah,
seen some conversations that were going on in a certain group that me and you are in just before you came on the show, and they were
yeah.
interesting and motivating. But like you said, continue. You're gonna be a champion.
Yes. So I'm going to really try and push clubs, because at the end of the day, it starts from clubs. We need to accept the fact that we are not all the same at this point in time. There are some who are better than us in terms of finance and all that. We agree. So why can't those ones who are better just have a league of their own, and then us guys who are catching up can catch up later? It's better for us. It's better for everyone. It's better for the national team, because at the end of the day, whether you're up there or you're down here, you don't get anything at the tail end of this completion of the season. So I mean, let's just keep going in the right direction. But anyway, as you've said, Michael, I will be a champion. I will try and push for whatever reform changes that are needed in this union of ours. I might fail, I might succeed, but at the end of the day, the biggest noise that we should have is how do we make our local rugby clubs better? Because remember, Kenya Sevens guys are cheering Kenya Sevens on the World Series. They're saying, "Oh, this is our team. This is our hey, hey." They don't know where Brian Ondego comes from. They don't know where Dennis Abukuse comes from. I mean, once these players have a better platform to bounce from or bounce back to, then you're sure of performance up top. So we are putting the cart before the horse. We are celebrating what the union has been able to churn out with this small uh, input in terms of development, in terms of making sure that our leagues are better. Competition is also improving at club level. But at the end of the day, what if we are now intentionally trying to make change happen? What has happened right now is it's the system has produced, right? It's like a cow, Michael. Ng'ombe at the end of the day, kama amepata ndama atatoa maziwa, sivyo? Lakini the quantity of milk will depend on how much food, or the quantity or the quality of food you're giving the cow, right? So at the end of the day, it's 1+1, and I believe that is the way to go forward, Michael.
Yeah, Walter, we could talk about this until the cows come home, the cows ambazo zinatoa maziwa. But I'm sure, I think one of these days, let's just have a show just away from like league fixtures and anything. And the beauty is that, okay, there's Enterprise Cup this coming weekend, but anyway, we can talk about it in subsequent episodes. That's like fodder, like what we can do to make the game better. Kenya Sevens, I think, is a conversation that we need to have. We've already had one conversation with Kibui Bat, and it's up on our YouTube channel. Look for the Armchair Analysts, episode 2, where we review the Cape Town Sevens. But it doesn't stop us from talking about the Cape Town Sevens. But before me and you get into a discussion about the Cape Town Sevens, Walter managed to get clips courtesy of Steve Ochieng from SportPesa. Just want to give him credit for that. He was able to interview both Samuel Asati, one of the Shujaa co-captains, and Kevin Wambua. So I'm going to play you the comments from, first of all, Samuel Asati, and then from Kevin Wambua, and then we can chat about Shujaa's outing in Dubai and Cape Town. So here we go.
Assessment yako ya tournament from day 1 to day 2 imekuwa improvement from 10th to 7th. Assessment ya Cape Town Sevens imekuwa
assessment ya Cape Town Sevens imekuwa so far so good. Tume have an improvement kutoka Dubai Sevens, so hizo ni boxes kidogo tunatik, and plus kumekuwa na improvement. Ukiangalia hata scores zenye tumelose nazo si big margins, so inaonyesha growth. Plus in your first tournament, second tournament, I mean first outing to many of the boys. Niko quite happy now.
Alright, now tuko na kama 1 month break, almost 2 months still pack Australia Sevens. Tukirudi home unataka mwakie nini ili tukienda third outing?
Of course tukirudi home saa hii kitu ya kwanza ni recovery. We have a 10 days protocol, alafu to focus on vitu tumela kidogo kwa hizi tournaments mbili, hizo tunaenda kufocusia sana. Plus previously tuli have short time to prepare, na ndio tumeput in results yenye tume have saa hii, so tuko na long time to prepare, so tutakuwa na excuse from now.
Perfect. Sure. 10, now 7. I think we've ticked one of the boxes. What would be assessment just in the 2 days in Cape Town Sevens?
Team has played fantastically. I think if you look at our performance this weekend, even the games we lost against Spain, a little unfortunate not to win that one, but again we go back to decision making in that game. I think we pick the learnings from that and just improve as a team. It's a young squad, but as you can see from every game we play, we keep on improving.
Oh boy.
Improvement from 10th to 7th. Assessment ya
Sorry. Shida mtambo.
Just in that line, it's the first outing for majority of the boys from Dubai to now. What are just some of the lessons you've picked from them that also they've seen that you think you're going to work on when you go back home? You have like a whole month now.
We just have to be ruthless and efficient. I think when we get to the opposition half, we have to make sure we get our rewards. When we have the ball in hand, we have to make sure that we get our scores. With the series being this tight, we cannot afford to be to have a lot of errors. So it's just about being clinical. So we are going to really drill.
Well, that was it. He said really it's about being clinical and that he's going to drill the boys into being more ruthless. Well, you've heard the comments from both Samuel Asati and Kevin Wambua. Your sentiments on what they've said?
Yes, I've heard what the head coach has had to say, and just picked up a few things from what he said. He talked about the fact that decision making was one of the many things that they could have done very well over the weekend. Now, I bring your attention, Michael, to the game between Kenya versus Argentina, and when he speaks about decision making, and I'm hopeful that Kenya Sevens can really mature very fast on this aspect. We're going into halftime. We are leading. No, actually, I think we were leading or something, and then we were trailing. We were trailing at that point in time. We have an opportunity to attack Argentina. We kick the ball out, right? And referees confusion and the hooter sounded or it didn't sound. It's here, not there. However, the Kenya Sevens team, instead of kicking that ball out, should have gone on to attack Argentina. It was halftime. They had nothing to lose. They were trailing. They have an opportunity to play, and they should have attacked and they should have played. I would have given credit if they'd have tried to attack and lost the ball forward or knocked the ball in the process, or I mean something happened and the game ended and it went into halftime, I would have given that to them. However, they decided to kick into touch. The referee then pulled play back, saying the time hadn't run out. And what do Argentina do? It's same instance, just like the one Kenya had. We have possession. It's almost halftime. We have nothing to lose. We go ahead and attack Kenya, and they score. So that's the difference between us and Argentina. That's the mindset, you know. That's what we need to really build and think around developing as quickly as possible. The strength in thinking on our feet, the strength in making those snap-second decisions on what to do, because it's 7 minutes each half, Michael. You don't have the eternity of the day for you to decide on what to do. Now, that aside, another match, I think it was a match we were playing Spain. We have an opportunity to attack, Michael. We have a penalty. We tap the ball, we kick a grabber, and nobody's chasing, or we are kicking to the wrong people. I would have thought that Samuel Asati would have either gone for a line out upfield, and then we decide on maybe playing from there. But then again, we kicked away possession, precious little possession, that possession which would have kept and which would have helped us make the cup semi-final. So those are the split-second decisions that Kenya has to really improve and mature on. But above all, I want to give credit to the Kenya Sevens team, Michael. They've played very well over the last 2 weekends. Dubai was a starter. You could see that they're trying to fight for whatever little that is offered onto the table for them. They came in, I finished in a good position, as at least they didn't fight for the wooden spoon. Went to Cape Town, opening game, having lost to Australia the previous week, put that result behind and came out all guns blazing and beat Australia. Very important win, and I believe that was a marker, and we should have kept it at that. However, lost in the second game. Brutal as it is, the World Rugby 7 Series format has changed, so that means that you now drop to the number positions, and that means that we were going for either the 5th place or any other number that is beyond 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, Michael, that means that the Kenya team had an opportunity to actually finish in a good position. Played against Argentina, a top side, a World Rugby 7 Series defending champions, and that was the result. And at the final game, Michael, playing against Team GB, convincing win, and that is what we expect from Kenya. That is the Kenya we know, you know. A Kenya that is expected to put a challenge, whether they're losing or not. You can see the battle, you can see the fight. We came up against Great Britain and feared nobody, and we won. And Michael, befitting way to end the Cape Town Sevens, but also a befitting way to open up your HSBC World Rugby Sevens calendar this year.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, I'll not say much because I already said it on the Armchair Analysts. I'll just summarize what I said. I feel that Shuja outdid themselves in both Dubai and Cape Town, given the fact that it is a young team. Young in the sense that these are 7 players who are making their World Series debut and coming off relegation, and to perform the way you do, they got into the competitions like a duck to water, performing exceptionally well in Cape Town. It's a pity that the format will be revolving from what I understand. So for the first leg, whenever they're back-to-back tournaments, you'll be playing the Olympic style, where it is 3 pools of 4 teams, and then the quarterfinal draw, and then for the immediate tournament after that, it'll be this kind of event where you have 3 teams in pools of 4 and then direct semi-finals. But that notwithstanding, Shuja waking up to the realization that they can actually do something, that they can actually even survive and be among the top 8 for 2026. So for me, as we sign off, Walter, I just want to say kudos to Kevin Wambua, to Louis Kisia, Andrew Amonde, Lamek Bogonko, Steve Sewe, and the entire playing unit of Shuja. I mean, lifting our heads up high, and we do believe in you. It can only get better going forward.
Yeah, it can only get better, Michael. Now, just as we wrap it all up, Michael, who was your player of the tournament in Cape Town?
Welelelelelele. Of course, Patrick Odongo expected him to do what he has to do. Nigel Amaitsa. Nigel Amaitsa was creating stuff left, right, and center. The try he created for Patrick Odongo against England, you know, the reverse pass when he literally just popped it, reminiscent of the Fijians. I think that is because it is instinctive. He now knows where his support player is going to be. The try scoring opportunities he created again against Australia. So for me, it's Nigel Amaitsa. I'm not going to delve too much into it. His performances, his actions showed for Kenya. He was my standout player in Cape Town.
Yeah, lovely Nijo. He's a lovely boy. He had a very good local 7 series this year. A very smooth operator. Can double up as a center. Can do all the fly half duties. Can do all the halfback duties. And he's growing into all this. And you could see from his celebration, all the time he scored, he kept on telling guys, "Shut up." I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. I'll talk to him about it, and hopefully in the next episode, I'll tell you what Nijo is all about. But congratulations to the Kenya Shujaa side, and I'm looking forward to the new year. I'm looking forward to the next couple of tournaments because I know the battle for them is cut out. It's just to finish in the top 8 so that we avoid that challenge series madness where Uganda is stuck in. So it's important for us to be very grateful for what we have, Michael. Uganda don't have what we have, and it's important that the boys put in the fight up to the tail end of all this. Michael, I think we've come to the end of the show today. We've talked about literally what happened this past week. And this next coming week, we have Enterprise Cup, a few fixtures here and there. We'll definitely bring you the post-match reaction of the Enterprise Cup and anything else making news internationally in terms of rugby. It's always a pleasure, Michael, being on this show.
Yes, thank you so much for your time. As always, it is much appreciated. And as we leave, we'll end the show with a different kind of way of ending it. Kenya Harlequin held their annual dinner this past weekend and do have content from their dinner that we've compiled as we end the show, including the awards given out to various people who were deserving on the day. Kudos to Quins on that club dinner. Something that, you know, I'd love to see more clubs appreciate, because let us appreciate our efforts at the end of the season. It's not all hard work. I think it's these little things that also help you grow a community. Anyway, we're out. And then, Walter, we are one subscriber short of 100. We have worked to 99 subscribers. So we can share this and ask people to subscribe and share the content and continue supporting us on 254 Rugby. And your feedback is always welcome.
Yeah, definitely, Michael. That is the way to go.
All right, so we leave you with some content from the Quins dinner. It's about 30 seconds, so it won't be long.
Eager,